I mean, when I said share, lads, we kind of overkilled it there. Andy!
What?
It's always bloody Andy!
Jesus.
Right, it's always me or Andy that messes up. Well done, Andy, you've taken it tonight. Anyway.
Oh, right, yeah, so just... Paul messed up last week.
Right, Paul's the other way, by the way. You just put... Right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the series finale of the Gaffas Gaff, with our series being teams that have changed the Premier League forever. We are joined, as usual, by Mr. Late Night Show, Lewis Barnard. How are we tonight, sir?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you, Dave.
Cheers. Before we get it over and done with, we might as well get it over and done with. Do you want to do your Thursday night advert? Just get it out.
Well, what I'm going to tell you right now is Thursday night. We have a delight for you because there's a show. It's going to go where we go. But then we're going to go here because he's a nice person. And then it is the talk of the town with his nice little mug. Hello!
I mean, cheers, Lewis. That's halfway through the show now. Right, we've got the host of Talk of the Tap. We've got Mr. Can't Use Caps Lock. Andy, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
Yeah, how are things? Little one good?
Yeah, she's all right.
Fantastic. And we've got the other host. We've got Mr. Paul. How are we, sir?
I'm good, thank you very much. Very good tonight. Looking forward
Wonderful.
to
So, first of all, thank you so much for these three.
What?
So what?
No, I was gonna say that he's written Andy how he does on fucking Toy Story on the bottom of his shoe.
That's the reverse, isn't it? Andy writes it in capitals.
Anyway, guys, let's start with the show. Teams that have changed the Premier League forever, 2010 to 2021, because there might have been a team that's changed the Premier League in the last, 11 days. So we're going to start off with... Yeah. We're going to start off with... we're going to start at the start of the decade. There's two teams that have kind of come to mind. We've got team number one, Chelsea, because there's two teams here. And team number two, I may have deleted their logo, my bad. The other team being Manchester United. Anyone know the reason I put these two on?
Well, first of all, offline, Lewis told me that Chelsea have not changed the decade at all.
There we go.
And I argued they had, but so
they have. Right, okay, right. I love an argument. Armchair pundits. We're all about debate. Debate, go.
I've got no debate. Go on, Lou.
Right, Lou, why can't Chelsea be in the team that changed the Premier League?
Because they changed the Premier League in the previous decade, not this one.
Well, I'll explain this. Okay, so the reason I put both of them in there is because we had a Champions League final. It was one of the first ever Champions League finals with two English teams in there. Obviously, Paul will remember that very fondly.
They changed the Premier League to get there.
So, obviously, another two teams went into Champions League, but it was a start where the Premier League started really making waves in Europe. There was more and more teams that was getting to the further stages, like Liverpool, Man City, Man U, Chelsea. Everyone's nodding at me.
Leicester. Leicester.
I mean, not really in Champions League, but all right.
Yes, they did. They're the only surviving English team that season. So you went out, Man U went out. We were the only ones surviving. So yes, we did.
How far did you get?
Quarterfinals.
Where are you this
How
year?
far did...
Who have you got in the next round of Champions League this year?
Oh my God. Are you going to stay on that high horse? Jesus, get over yourself. History lesson.
Mate.
Oh my word.
Liverpool
Who have you got in the Europa League, by the way?
Hey mate, just saying. That turtleneck was relevant last time Liverpool were relevant back in the 70s. So,
whack. Have it.
I mean, that is shots fired. And I won't tell that to Brett. Brett will be kicking off right now.
Spiky.
I mean, luckily my Wi-Fi did its normal thing of cutting off. She was going through that, so I didn't actually hear a damn thing you said. Anyway, next team.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate you're wearing a leather jacket in your own home?
Yeah, and a turtleneck sweater, guys. Let us know in the comments. Turtleneck sweaters. Is it cool or am I just getting old? I don't know.
You've got a leather jacket on in your house.
Yeah, we're a bit tight with the eating. Right, anyway, next team. Now, everyone talks about Bielsa ball and how attacking they are.
And the Wi-Fi by the sounds of it.
Yeah, everyone talks about Bielsa ball and how attacking Leeds United are and how refreshing it is to see new promoted teams. They weren't the first to do it. Swansea City. You remember Swansea City their first year in the Premier League? Paul, let's go to you.
Mitchell.
Who's from out the room?
Easy.
Jordan! Hi, Jordan! I'm sure he remembers
Who's
it.
Jordan's for?
Is he an Arsenal fan?
No, he lives there.
Oh, does
Oh,
it?
an Arsenal fan who lives in Swansea.
Yeah, obviously. You little...
Different country. Different country.
Yeah, it's a completely different country. So, anyway, yeah, Swansea. Me too. What a season. Did they win the... Was it Capital One Cup first season under Michael Laudrup?
Did they?
No.
I don't think they won anything.
They beat Bradford 5-0 in the final.
Honestly, right, I wrote this about 5 minutes ago. What football is Jack on? And you've literally just proved my point.
What's that? No. Swansea won the Capital One Cup one year. They beat Bradford in the final 5-0.
And I'm not even lying. Waffle is Jack on.
Right, you know what? Right, people in the comments, let me know if you remember Swansea winning the Capital One Cup. And they beat Bradford in the final 5-0.
Yeah, they did. 2012-13.
Right, let me just write something.
And it
My
changed.
guess knows
Andy's
sod all
got
about
Google up
football.
again.
Right, you're going to apologise?
I didn't say they didn't do. I just didn't think it.
No, you didn't, Paul. You didn't jump the
Do you know what,
Thank
Dave?
you.
I
But
don't
as for these other
apologise.
two
You're a prick, mate.
I was doing something interesting that day.
Exactly. I can't even remember it.
How can you not remember that? They won 5-0 in the final.
Wait. Oh my God! How could I forget Swansea v Bradford? Oh my God!
All right. Okay. You want an argument? I'm going to give you an argument. Right,
Do you know
2
what?
days ago, I said that the FA Cup had lost their magic, and everyone's like, no, they're not, because all the smaller teams get really, really far. Bradford, who was struggling in League One at the time, got to the final. No one batted an eyelid, right?
No.
Everyone craves about the FA Cup, and all the minion teams knocked out by fourth round.
That wasn't the FA Cup, Dave. That was the League Cup.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Everyone has a go at the League Cup because everyone has a go at the League
No,
Cup. because it's
you can't bag it
boring.
now. You can't bag it.
But they like the FA Cup for the reason of something that actually happened in the
FA
League Cup.
League Cup. FA Cup magic. League Cup magic. There is no League Cup magic.
Bradford got to the final.
No one gave a shit, to be quite honest. Didn't change football, did
Honestly,
it?
Dave, at that point, I was fingering my cat.
Oh my God.
I'm actually crying.
Right. There's been enough cat abuse for a week.
Right. Paul, next video you do, that clips in. Right, okay, so let's not talk about what Lewis does for cats. Swansea.
That's Dave.
Unlike
I'll see that.
Right. Unlike Leeds,
Right, stop it.
Swansea knew how to defend as well. They had an amazing first season, didn't they?
Oh, how are they getting on now? How are they getting on?
Yeah, they're like, 8 years later. Anyway, next team. God, we're going through teams like bloody mastermind, yeah. Oh, should we do it while he's gone? Right, next team.
Yeah.
Leicester City.
Yeah.
Leicester City.
Lewis, let's
The
go
first
to you.
thing-
Hands up. Hands up. I've got
Greatest.
to say.
Yeah.
Shut up!
Yeah, we've got hashtag tap. Andy, run about Barcelona.
The thing is,
No, right, Andy, we've got to come to you. Right, Andy.
Hang on a minute, don't put me off.
All right, sorry, Lewis. Right, Lewis, go.
No.
You're a worse. You're a really bad host. Really bad host.
I say I like how Lewis is going for the 9 o'clock rule. That is you admin of the month. Right.
Oh well, do you know what, Dave? And do you know what? If they kick me off. But don't get me on and get back on again. And all we're playing because we're not playing because there's no pussy around it. Right. Sorry. No, basically, Leicester's. Right. Stop encouraging me. Leicester City did something that's never happened before and probably will never happen before. The 5,001 winners of the Premier League. Well, I'm sick of you two. Andy, can me and you continue, please?
Yeah, definitely. Paul,
right,
Paul,
Leicester City.
have a word with yourself. Come on.
Am I right in saying that it didn't just change football in the Premier League, it changed football worldwide? Would I be right in saying that?
It's changed football.
No, you wouldn't.
Forever.
Right, so Lewis, you disagree. Go on. I mean,
Honestly,
have you got
it looks like you're one of them people at the side of the screen doing watching audios. Anyway, listen. I cried when I saw Wes Morgan pick up that trophy because I knew what it meant for so many of my friends, like Andy. You know, not Paul, not you, just like Andy. And it mate, what an achievement! And do you know what? You know, the guy that spurred all this on was a guy called Jamie Vardy. And Jamie Vardy, anyway, Jamie, and what a legend that guy is. And you know, like he broke Van Nistelrooy's record in that year. But they had players that they bought for tuppence, and there was players in that team like Albrighton and you know Danny Simpson, you know, journeymen, not exceptional players, but something, you know, Wes Morgan, something happened in the stars in the sky. They all aligned together, and boom, something happened.
What comment?
And what happened was
here we go.
It was talk of the tap on a Thursday night.
Right. Comment here from Adam J. Morley. I cried as a Forest fan when Wes Morgan picked up that trophy. I remember actually watching the
and do you know what, Adam?
Chelsea Tottenham game. I think
completely agree.
I watched the Chelsea Tottenham game. I think Tottenham were leading in that game. Tottenham had to win. Chelsea came back. Eden Hazard scored. One of the fastest games I've seen in a long time. But I can't remember so many fans. Not just nationwide.
12 yellow cards.
I was watching that. Yeah, it was mad. But I can't remember that many fans in this country wanting Chelsea to get a point. And, I mean...
Everyone was a Leicester
fan. Andy's a Leicester fan, so we'll go to Andy last. Paul, what was your feelings leading up to it? When did you know what I mean?
Bear on a second then.
What did you think?
To be honest, the story started with me the previous year when I went to go and watch Leicester, and obviously with United, and they completely destroyed us in 30 minutes. So you could see something special was happening from that point, and the more people wrote them off that year, the more momentum they got. And I remember one of my best friends is a Spurs fan, and we kind of touched on this before, that everyone kind of expected everyone to win it apart from Leicester. So they were saying this year could actually be Spurs' year, or this year Arsenal might do it, or anybody but Leicester. It was anybody but Leicester. And it wasn't until the last probably 10 games, maybe 8 games, people started to think, do you know what? They're going to do this. They've got a good chance of doing this. And yeah, I remember that battle at the bridge, watching that Chelsea Spurs game where Spurs imploded.
Andy, when did you start to believe?
When we beat Man City and tore Man City
Did Robert Hoof score that game? It was at the Etihad.
Twice. Robert Hoof started it on that game. That's when I started to believe.
Yeah, it bugs me when people say it was a fluke and all that, because we won by a lot of points, and they were in that
10
season,
points.
Leicester were pretty much the only consistent team. When we talk about changing the Premier League forever, the best person to go to for this one, no disrespect, is Lewis. So obviously, if Liverpool win the league, not overly surprised. If Man U win the league, not overly surprised. And I think even these days, if Leicester win, a little bit surprised, but not that much of a surprise. As a new promoted team, Lewis,
not that much surprise, Dave. They were 5,000 to 1, mate. What are you on about?
No, now. He's talking about now.
I'm on about now, current day.
Won it now.
But you've seen Leicester do it. Does that give you a little bit of confidence?
No. The thing with Leicester is it wasn't their first year in the Premier League, was it? They took the experience of just avoiding relegation. It's like maybe a Villa did it this year. They just stole relegation, and then bang, Villa this year. They've started off phenomenal, haven't they? They've got the most clean sheets in the Premier League, and that's how you can compare it. For me this year, Leeds have come up with playing a style of football, and that style of football with the players that are in that system is not going to win you a Premier League. No way. Leicester had Wes Morgan and Robert Hoof. Absolute warriors at the back. We've got matey boy that about this thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not happening.
Jack commented, people wanted Leicester to win because the way bullied teams to go away, discussing behaviour on the pitch, plus everyone loves an underdog. I don't think people wanted Tottenham to lose. I just think because of the story about Leicester, I think people wanted, and this is just my opinion, I think if people that don't support Leicester obviously wanted Leicester to win the league because of the story. There was, when teams win the Premier League, there's an achievement. But when Leicester did it, it was almost like watching a Rocky film, or it was just such an achievement.
Underdog, wasn't it? Such an underdog.
Yeah, and I think unless you're rich and unless you're a millionaire and massively successful in life, we are all underdogs. And I think seeing Leicester do it, kind of, as corny as it sounds, probably made us believe a bit more,
But it tied so well.
It's cheesy, but
it tied so well with Jamie Vardy's story, isn't it? The underdog, underdogs.
It's one of the greatest stories in world football.
But this is that season. Everybody will know now that season was so definitive. But as a Leicester fan, it goes back further for us, because if you go to the 12-13 season, the heartbreak at Watford in the playoffs, then go the next season, absolutely smash the Championship, and then the season after that get into Premier League and get out of the Great Escape season, which is still to this day the greatest escape because. But it was What?
Yeah, Leicester.
They definitely did win the Premier League by 10 points.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
we won it by 10 points.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
The Premier League by 10 points.
The story.
Tottenham got loads of points. Arsenal finished second.
Put it up, Dave. Put it up. No way.
Yeah.
Just one you said, Andy. Just obviously Leicester fan. What was that moment like? When obviously Pearson was sacked and Ranieri was brought in. Obviously, there was a lot of press around the fact that the guy was coming in. He was a tinker man. He's never been in a situation before where he's an underdog in general to keep the team in the Premier League. Never mind do what they did. How did you feel when he came in? Honestly, at the time.
Honestly, I obviously massively annoyed that Pearson wasn't able to continue the job that he was building. Like, that's what I mean. The journey was 4 years before that with him. And I think the press didn't help as well for us as Leicester fans, calling him the Tinker Man.
His Wi-Fi's gone just as when he's talking.
Right, I'm looking at it here. I can't bring it up on screen, so I'd have to go off. But Leicester finished first with 81 points. Second was Arsenal, 71. Then Tottenham, 70. I mean, they finished.
They really win it by 10 points.
Yeah.
They really win the Premier League by 10 points.
They have the second best goal difference in the league, only behind Man City.
I put my hands up there. I'm so sorry for saying that they didn't. That's but you say it's unbelievable. There was a Premier League season where Man City finished on 98 and Liverpool finished on 97. So to win the league with 81 and 71, it was like everything was there for that moment in time that made them go and do that. I mean, that is phenomenal. And again, I do apologise for getting that wrong and ridiculing that comment, because I've done that many times over the summer where people have said Leeds scraped it. We won the championship by 10 points.
Yeah.
So people don't really
Adam Morley, Adam Morley, I think it was Tottenham. Yeah, they dropped it. Thank you, Adam, for commenting, by the way. People who watching, comment. So,
yeah, there's a comment that says Spurs are the only team to finish third in a 2-horse race or something like that. Because the Spurs were looking to do it, and then Arsenal picked them to second that season.
Yeah.
Right, 2 questions. Quick vote. First question: will it be done again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it won't have the same drama behind it.
If so, and I'll give someone £100 cash in hand.
I'd like
if you can predict.
I'd like to think so.
By who? Just a quick punt, and then we can look back at this video when it does happen and say. I'd love Brentford to do it. You know, Brentford just to come up from Championship and them do it. It'd be great.
I would think someone like a West Ham might do it. Someone who's got a decent youth team. Someone when money changes at some point. You can nod all you like, but it's obviously you would have been like that with Leicester. What I'm saying to you is that it shows with Leicester doing it. It shows it can happen. So why can't you basically?
You're about youth teams. Leicester didn't have the youth team. Their team from youth team.
Quick shout out there by Matthew Rigby. Leicester are top from November onwards. Any team that does that deserves it. Yeah, bang on. Yeah. Absolute bang on. Sorry, Paul. Carry on.
No, my point was with the way the league is going and the way money's going, there's massive emphasis obviously on the youth teams now, especially with the EU situation as well. Without getting into politics, it is starting to come to the forefront. So they're my spot.
Yeah, just going on to that, people say that youth teams can't win it. I remember an old expression. Someone once says you can't win anything with kids.
Yeah.
They went on to dominate the next 15, 20 years.
Alan Hansen said that.
They do not have gigs, but Neville, Beckham, Scholes. I mean, no one's ever having that in their youth team ever again.
Well, you say that, but if it happened once, it can happen again. That's how I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think it happened again. That's my honest opinion.
Years ago, Dave.
But they'll say that.
Ago.
But this is what I'm saying, Lewis. You can't say that because you look back in 30 years' time and someone might not do what Leicester have done, and people will look back and go, it was 30 years ago. There'll be something else. There'll be another miracle of some sort.
Yeah.
You can't just say it's not going to happen.
It won't be the same story.
Something happened 100 years, but we're not going to be able to experience it.
No. Potentially, you don't know.
Lewis, you said it would. Andy, you say it would happen again?
Yeah, not anytime soon. But
And next question, will they make a film on it?
About Leicester, I hope they do. I'd love to see it.
There's a Jamie Vardy film in the making.
Who's playing Vardy?
The lad from One Direction.
In between it, actually.
No.
You're on about Niall. It spoke about no, not Niall. What's he? He played professional football. He's quite decent.
Niall played in
Yeah,
Soccer, didn't he?
He tried to take
And
Doncaster over.
Jay from the In-Betweeners.
Not a bad shout, is it?
Premier League title, completed that, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It goes, doesn't it?
But that's how the film will come about, because you've got, like I said, it's the two stories of the two underdogs rising to, well, obviously accomplish their dreams. So
What a story.
that's how the story will come by. It won't be a Leicester City story. It'll be a Jamie Vardy rags to riches sort of thing, isn't it?
There you go.
Who's Adam? I've not seen Adam comment before.
No, I've not seen
I've
Adam
no
before.
Kenny.
Adam, it's great to have you live, mate. I'm loving it.
I wonder who Adam is. I wonder who Adam is.
Oh,
Hello,
I know
Adam.
where you're going with this, Lou. I know where you're going with this. Right,
You're in my team, mate. You're in my team.
Cloughie did it in 1979 and 1980. Won the league, retained the European Cup. I mean,
It's not the same
he
story.
did. No, it's not the same story. It's a completely different area of football, but it happened. Now, as a Leicester fan, I respect the fact that you don't like this fact because it's Forest. And as a Forest fan, I respect the fact that they don't like what Leicester did because they're a Forest.
No.
But the history books do not lie.
No, I applaud everything that Forest have achieved.
Don't be silly. Jack ain't got no mates.
I applaud everything that Forest have done and Derby have done. Yeah, they're our local rivals, but they're both down in the history books for a reason.
I'm not going to say this to Andy, but Paul, if you want a massive debate, Cloughie 1979, Leicester's Premier League, you know, just throwing it out there, put it on a poll, see what happens.
It's a different game.
You're forgetting about, this is what I'm saying about it happened again. You're forgetting about other things like someone's reminded about Cloughie, obviously, and Forest. What about Ipswich and Bobby Robson? Yeah. We forget about these things, that things do happen. And
hey, Liverpool, Bill Shankly.
Yeah, but you know, with the Vardy thing, what would be really interesting, I've just watched, it's not football, but we're just watching, I've not seen it for a few years, but watching the Senna documentary, how they did it as a film. If they did that with Jamie Vardy, it would be absolutely awesome. If they could pick up footage, they could take it from that.
Do you think, though, if they made, and we'll swap subjects in a minute, but do you think if they did it just on Jamie Vardy, then it's kind of taken away from the other Leicester players?
No, I don't think so.
No, because it'll be incorporated. But I also think this Jamie Vardy story now is kind of lost its glamour. This film is a bit too long down the line now. I'm being honest.
The Jamie Vardy story. See, I think amongst everything else, it's inspirational. The Jamie Vardy story. I mean, you get other films based on sports stars, and they're already well known. You know, Muhammad Ali, he was already relatively known. Senna was already relatively known. Jamie Vardy came from literally, you know, down in the league to becoming the champion.
Yeah,
don't say he came from nothing, because he didn't.
Yeah, he came from the slums. He came from nothing, and Brazil were in turmoil when it happened. So that's what I'm saying with the Vardy story. I think in a way, Andy's right in a way in the fact that it's become a film.
He's here.
Would it be better as a documentary film? So it's real life stuff because. But yeah,
I don't know much about Senna, I'll be honest. Right, so going on to the next team, and not for great reasons, similar to Chelsea, but I think this team have taken it to that next step. Manchester City. Yeah. Now, there's a difference between Manchester and City, and I wasn't going to feature Manchester City because obviously Chelsea had done it, but then I thought about it. Chelsea were already a relatively biggish club.
Get in there.
Man City
were.
What are you on about? We're on about people that changed the Premier League in the last 10 years, and Man City definitely did that.
Yeah, no. But the reason I'm doing this one as well as the Chelsea is because Man City wasn't as big as Chelsea. You know, in my opinion.
That, but in the Premier League at that point, they were still finished in the top 10.
So. Chelsea before the billions.
Yeah, but Chelsea has won FA Cups. They were finishing top 4 or 5 in certain seasons.
City, Nicky Weaver, penalty save, League 2. Come on.
Yeah, League
Chelsea were
2.
never there.
Chelsea
Well, no, it doesn't
hadn't
this is my point. This is my point. Is Man City were a lot lower than Chelsea. So if Man
You said
City
you
can
were
be
going
taken
to
over,
picture them.
yeah, but I am now. No, you're missing the point. The reason I'm featuring Man City, because we did Chelsea last week, is because Man City was not a bigger club. So the point is, the smaller clubs are now being taken over. Newcastle's a massive club, can't really include Newcastle, but Derby is going to have a massive financial
Newcastle
influx.
taken over, so I don't know about
Dave,
Newcastle's
let's be realistic here. Yeah, Man City, in the grand scheme of things,
Fair
have never been a smaller club.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
What you want about Dave?
But they're not.
Commented saying,
Are they
They've never
big? Were
been a
they as
smaller
big as
club.
Chelsea? Were
No,
they as
but,
big as Chelsea?
they've never been a small club.
no way near.
They had a bad few years, but in the Premier League, they've always been in and out of the Premier League. They were buying players.
Yeah, that's a bad shout, mate.
Just give an example. Vincent Kompany, he was already at the club when City got the takeover. They were buying decent players. They just didn't have the investment.
He cost £6 million.
Yeah,
it's not really a big signing, is it?
But from your point of view, they were never a small club. And to me, if you're going to basically say a small club going to be taken over, you're looking at people like Exeter City, or you're looking at people like Brentford, or you're looking at teams who have never won the league before.
Okay, they were a mid-table team. So before they got taken over, they were finishing 10th, 9th, 14th, 15th, 8th, 16th, and then there was in Division 1. And then they got relegated. You know what I mean? So the point is, they weren't a top team. Like Chelsea, for me, was quite a high-up team. They're one of the top 5 in the Premier League, in my opinion, before they got taken over. Man City were finishing bottom half of the table before they were. That's my point.
Dialli, Zola, Hasselbank. You know,
you're missing my point. Is when Chelsea got taken over, they were already quite. They was already at the top end of the table.
And you just said so about City. They already had company playing for them. He only cost £6 million from Hampton.
I said that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, they did, but you're missing the point. Where were they finishing before they got taken over? They were bottom half of the Premier League. Before Chelsea got taken over, they were still finishing top 6, top 5. And that's my point.
I think you're hitting them from two different sides. I think you're both agreeing for the wrong reasons. They did change the 10 years, obviously, before. Yeah, they did do that. Chelsea were pushing, but they were also just about to go to bankruptcy. So Abramovich came at the right time, just the right time to take Chelsea, because Bates had literally spunked all the money.
There's a great story on that, by the way. Which
Chelsea are very lucky. No, Chelsea are very lucky because Abramovich was in a helicopter and he picked out Tottenham, and when he landed, he ended up at Chelsea and bought Chelsea.
They were what Marcus said, and I'll get Marcus to touch on this. Apparently, Abramovich was going to take over Chelsea or Liverpool, depending on who finished where in the last game of the season. Liverpool lost and Chelsea won.
That's not the story.
He go for Chelsea.
No,
well, I don't know what the story is. Ask Marcus. We'll get Marcus on. Marcus knows the story.
I know the story.
I know the story.
Never won the Premier League, but yeah, but they did
win a
couple of times beforehand.
Man City had, but Chelsea haven't.
So
Chelsea's Premier League title was their first top league title for 50 years.
Yeah, and when did Man City win it?
Less than that.
70s.
70s, yeah.
Those 70s. But in between those times, they were lower.
Professionalism, do your research.
I have done my research. The research says...
You definitely haven't done your research.
Chelsea, you ask anybody, right? Chelsea were...
We're asking everybody. Everybody's here. We've got 2 people watching, Dave.
Matthew agrees with me. I've got comments here. Adam agrees with me. There's not a single comment that agrees with you 3 Muppets.
Well, put them up. Put them up, Dave. Share them. You're in control. Share them. Share the opinions.
In recent times, you are right. Chelsea were more successful before they were taken over.
Right, can I just make a point here then? Okay,
Man City hovered around the old Division 1 and 2 in the 80s and 90s. Thank you. I'm just trying to...
Now, I wasn't even born. I said my dad's fucking nutsack.
Right,
Right, go on.
okay. So we go from 1987-88, First Division,
Go on.
18th place, relegated Second Division, finished top.
What team are we on about here, by the way?
Chelsea. We're on about Chelsea.
Okay.
So 18th, then they won the division. Then they got 5th in the First Division, 11th, 14th, 11th.
Yeah.
So this is Premier League now. 14th,
Yeah.
11th, 11th,
Yeah.
6th.
Yeah.
Then they started to climb because Bates had put the money in. So 4th, 3rd, 5th, 6th,
Yeah.
6th, and then Abramovich came in pretty much. So
Okay, so let's compare that to Man City. So what year did you go from?
So that was 1987. I'm just going back.
Right, okay.
Not immediate history.
Here's Man City's, okay? They finished 9th in Division 2. Then the year after that, they finished 2nd. They got promoted to Division 1. Then they finished 14th, then 5th, then 5th, 9th, 16th, 17th. Then they got relegated.
Yeah,
this was in 1995.
Yeah.
They finished 14th in Division 1, which would have been Championship. Then they, what year are we in? Oh, there we go. And then they got relegated from Division 1. So they then went into Division 2.
Yeah, we know the story.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
This is Nicky Weaver's story.
Then they got promoted. They finished 3rd. Then they got promoted again, 2nd. Then they got relegated again from the Premier League, 2000, 2001. They won the Championship. Then they finished 9th, 16th, 8th, 15th, 14th, 9th. So argue with me.
I'm arguing with you, calling them a small club. They are not a small club.
No, I'm not saying they're a small club. I'm saying they were a smaller club than Chelsea. That is my argument. They were a smaller club than Chelsea.
I still think if you look at the honours from because Chelsea won their.
So I got.
What are you looking at?
I think that Chelsea were a bigger club. The City were always overshadowed by United.
To be fair, that's a fair comment. To be fair, obviously everyone knows Man City. It was at the time it was Man United's ugly sister. That's what they were. Dave, instead of Marcus, I've got the
takeover. Hang on, before the time of takeover, they weren't considered a top team. Yes, they are history, but wasn't until they bought Robinho. I mean, you three can argue all you want, but every single comment is backing my story, and you guys can look through the comments all you want.
You want some clarification?
While Andy explains with a smug look.
You want some clarification on this Chelsea-Liverpool thing? After recent business, this is a Roman Abramovich interview that was back in 2019 with TalkSport. Roman Abramovich decided to buy Chelsea instead of Tottenham Hotspur after branding the area western parts of Siberia. After a business trip, as he was flying to a private airport, he picked out a stadium which was Tottenham Hotspur's White Hart Lane as the team that he wanted to buy. Obviously, visiting the area of Tottenham itself, described it as western parts of Siberia and decided to buy Chelsea. Liverpool do not get mentioned once.
Well, that's Marcus's fault. Marcus, me and you are having words after the show.
Marcus's fault.
But unlike you three, when I'm wrong, I'll put my hand up. I was wrong on that instance. Right. Moving on.
Put my hands up earlier when I said they're fucking Leicester. They win by 10 points.
And Mr. Late Night, he put his hand up. Right. Next one. This is the last one, actually. Teams that have changed Premier League forever. And in my opinion, actually, it is the biggest thing that changed the Premier League would be this.
Oh, here we go. Of course it's going to happen. Right, see you later.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. The Imagine the fields went.
So basically, the reason I've put these in is because Premier League champions, European champions, Super Cup champions, World Club Cup champions, all at the same time. Absolutely unheard of. Still World Club champions.
Shut up, Dave. Shut up, Dave.
When the show's going to go.
But no. So they changed the thing because obviously we're not going to talk about when they won the league. It's when they came second in the league. I mean, Lewis, you got the stats for us. Come on.
I mean, we've just spoken about Leicester winning the Premier League on 81 points and Arsenal finished on 71 points, right?
Yeah.
That was a very, very poor Premier League season. It must be a fact. But I'm not taking nothing away from Leicester. What an achievement. What a club!
Thank you, man.
And they are a family community club. And
Just
I
couldn't say
can't
that, mate.
say any bad word against Leicester City. They are phenomenal. But Manchester City won the Premier League on 98 points, and Liverpool finished on 97 points. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I might have cried a little bit, I'll be honest.
Has the 100
I
mark
think-
been broken?
No, they finished on 100 points the year before, Man City.
The Centurions, yeah.
It's in their documentary on Amazon. That's their documentary on Amazon.
That's some good advertising, that is, Lewis.
It was Gabriel Jesus. He scored a goal in the 94th minute to make Man City beat Southampton 1-0, and they finished on the 100-point mark in the season.
That's weird, considering he was only born on Christmas Eve. Go watch the video, guys. Christmas special. Quick plug. Right, moving on. Gabriel Jesus was born on Christmas Eve.
I'll be a bit slow then. I was being slow.
Go watch the video. You wrote it. Right. So, yeah, it was massive. We're not going to have a title league race like that again for a while, are we?
No, not like that. I mean,
Not in
but
COVID
that's very.
season. No way.
But no, that's very reminiscent of the Arsenal Man United season in the back end of the 90s. That's how close it was. The fact that Sky Sports had to put those two on TV at the same time and have the Premier League in the air, obviously that doesn't happen these days because everyone kicks off different.
I don't want to be reminded of it, but are we not forgetting about the Aguero moment?
Oh, I was just about to say that, Paul. Because Man United won the league. Man United won the league.
Oh, yeah. Was that?
I remember that. Didn't say what's that?
Yeah. So we just
Man United, Man United have won the league before.
Like that.
We just didn't know. It was horrible to watch. You were sitting there, and it was like you thought you'd won it, but you just didn't want it. It's a bit like VAR.
Well, no, you had won it. That was the thing. You actually had won it, but
nothing's as bad as fucking VAR, mate.
We played Sunderland. The game was done. It was literally done, and it was
4 minutes later.
Yeah. I mean, it was weird, right? Because the players were looking at the crowd for a reaction. I remember one cameraman, like you could see the players looking at the crowd, and then you saw the camera focus on one person. He had his like little portable radio like that. Yeah. You just saw his face go like that, and then. You know,
I know not make that up.
I know someone who was at the Sunderland game, and they once the game had finished at Stadium of Light, they put the Man City game on the boards, for everybody to watch.
We just, it was
Xhaka, wasn't it? Xhaka header like 2-2 or something like that when it against QPR, and then that moment in history will go like. Our kids, our grandkids, our great-grandkids will still listen to that moment in 100 years' time.
I've got to be honest.
I mean, the commentating was iconic. That the actual commentating itself was ironic. And that was actually Balotelli's only Man City assist.
But we when we were watching it, it was when Joey Barton got sent off, that's when we knew something was going to go on. Because Barton got sent off.
Okay.
And we just headbutting everyone.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I just remember it. I just went, oh no, here we go. It was like it was unraveling slightly, and it was just that sort of It's any other team they could have played. Any other team who were in that position apart from QPR, that team would have probably won. But it was QPR.
I mean, it was similar to Liverpool, not as bad as Liverpool, because I think the Man City thing was more. The Man City one, the Man City Man U one was a lot more iconic, was a lot more tense. But I remember the last game of our season, Man City were playing Brighton, we were playing Wolves. We just gone 1-0 up. And Man City had just literally 2 minutes later conceded to Brighton. And you could hear the thing in Liverpool. And I kind of sat there, I'm thinking, hang on. And my emotions changed. But it was only for 10 minutes because Man City came back and they ended up winning 4-1. But for those 10 minutes, I'm thinking, we're beating Wolves 1-0. Brighton's beating Man City 1-0. I mean, after 60 minutes, it was done. Like, unlike the Man City Man U one, where it literally came down to the last kick of the game.
So goal difference.
Those 10 minutes, I kind of, I feel for you, Paul, because I mean,
Fergie turned around after the game and he said, "I will never ever get beaten on goal difference ever again." That's the only thing he pretty much said. He didn't say anything else. That's all he said. And Andy and I've talked about this a little bit. That if Fergie would have won the league that year, I think, and he thinks the same, he would have retired. He would have gone that year. And it was the determination of it for the following year, because that side we had the following year wasn't brilliant. He went out and handpicked Van Persie, and then the rest is history. For that, that's our last league win.
Van Persie won in the league. Persie won in the league.
He was inspirational as cancer.
Do you remember that goal from Rooney? Do you remember that goal from Rooney where he clipped it from the halfway line and against Aston Villa? And he just he goes. Do you know what? That ball was that good. I had to hit this first time.
Yeah.
And what a goal that was.
Anyone ever quotes that basically Wayne Rooney was not an absolutely fabulous player needs to watch that ball, which goes onto that guy's toe for him to hit straight in.
He kicked it almost on his toe, but almost on the outside of his boot, wasn't it? It was a
DC United. Do you remember? He tracked
and tackles
like 50 yards. Tackled it on the floor. Pinged it on top. DC United last minute 3-2.
Yeah.
What a guy! And anyone that says Wayne Rooney is not a good player is a fucking absolute monstrosity of life.
It's the typical British thing again, where we don't celebrate the genius of
right. Now, normally what we do on this show is we normally do our 5-a-side team. This week it's 11-a-side team, but we're going to leave that till last because it is the end of the series. Next. Now, normally we have a team or player of the week. We're going to go straight to that. Now, two of you, I think, do all three of you know who it is? We're going to have a very quick conversation.
I got it.
About the Gaffas player of the week.
This guy's a legend.
I'd have laughed if that was the only clip he had. Men want to be him, and women want to be with him.
I mean,
that just proves my point. That just proves my point. Women want to be with him.
Just a quick point. Lewis is number one fan.
David Beckham because the birds love it.
Have you picked Marie off the sofa
I'll tell you what, because you guys wanted this,
slipped off
tonight. Here's a little clip for you of David Beckham on the beach. If you've not seen this video, it's amazing.
Hey, David, you think you can get that trash can over there?
It's the pet shopper.
Really?
It's even easy.
How about all three of them?
It's even easy.
What? Okay. Here's 2 more.
Okay.
Come on. No! No freaking way! Oh man!
What?
This is not happening. This is not happening. Oh, no. Yes! That's what... Oh!
Wow.
Now, if anyone says that's doctored, just to the right of that clip, there's a lifeguard hut that has CCTV on it, and that footage is on the internet. That is not doctored at all. That happened.
What a guy!
Okay, let's go to the obvious person. Let's go to the obvious person.
No, leave Paul till last.
Paul. All right, we'll leave Paul till last.
He's got to pick Marie off the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to say. Generally, you watch that and then just...
She's gone for a shower, mate.
I would.
There's a lot of women out there watching this, and they are like a river right now. Anyway,
mate,
where does he come where does he come in England great? Number one, top 5, top 10?
No, he's up in the top. I say top 10 at push, top 5.
Ask that question after you see that goal against Greece. where he has to score that goal.
That's his greatest goal ever.
Yeah.
Which one's that one?
Which
Against
one's
Greece.
that one? Against Greece.
Against Greece to get us into the World Cup.
Against Greece. Oh, I'll tell you what, lads. Just for you lot.
He's got it.
Yes, then! Mate, honestly, it
I
still
mean,
gives me goosebumps to this day. Yeah. And do you know what? There's a story behind this. Teddy Sheringham wanted to... Oh, Jack! Teddy Sheringham wanted to take this.
Long ball.
Right?
Long ball.
Yeah, he wanted to long ball it. And Beckham's gone, Ted, it's a bit too far for you. And Beckham had about 5 free kicks in this game. They're all shit. And what happened to Beckham is Jack Underwood rang him up and then Beckham, you've got to take this. It's not a long ball. It's not about Teddy. It's about your time. And basically that happened.
Is he the most famous footballer of all time?
Absolute legend.
He was the first franchise.
He's one of them. He's got to be.
He was the first franchise.
I mean, if someone like Zico from Brazil or Beckenbauer walked down the street today, how many people would recognise him compared to if Beckham walked down the street?
The point with Beckham, which I'll get into quickly,
people don't know about him.
Yeah, I know, but you get my point.
He came along as social media was being hit, the web, obviously, and internet. He was going out with, obviously, a Spice Girl. If you ask the question to people who are older than us and they talk about, say, George Best, the argument would be that he was basically just as big in his era. The difference with Beckham was that he took it a step further and obviously didn't ruin his later career. So with him, he took it that stage further, and then he had the money to put into obviously other aspects, which is what he's doing now. So I think time was on his.
I mean,
you see how
at one point, not in football, but he was one of the biggest celebrities in the world, and that's competing with film stars, music stars, musicians. He was a poster boy. He was a footballer. He was.
Dave, you also have to remember
he was an amazing footballer.
You're absolutely correct. He was a footballer.
But you have to remember, the guy came back as well from what he did. Obviously, what happened in France '98. So he had that. He had that on his back as well, and that actually made him. That made him a lot tougher. And we talked about this before with the treble-winning season. He was inspirational. He stepped up massively for that season, took it on his shoulders because the level of abuse he was getting. And overnight, over sort of like a year running up, he turned, and everyone then loved him again. So
for free, but this is the thing about David Beckham. This is talking about David Beckham's commitment.
Beckham's against Argentina. Sorry, go on.
I'm saying about David Beckham knew that he had a World Cup coming up, which I think it was the 2014 World Cup. For 3 years, he played constant football. So he'd play in the MLS.
He retired in
2013. So 2012, sorry. So he wanted to go to that World Cup. For 3 seasons, 3 years, he played constant football. He was in the MLS, that obviously plays at different year time to we do. Then he goes to the AC Milan.
Yeah.
Then he goes back to the MLS. Then he goes back to AC Milan, and then he went to PSG just to get to that World Cup. And then he got injured. His Achilles tendon or something had snapped just so he couldn't go. And then he became an honorary coach just so he could go to the World Cup. That guy
how many footballers? How many footballers have had a film named after them?
Bend it like Beckham.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. He was.
Messi.
But
was it a film about him though?
Didn't have him in it.
He was in it.
Was he? I've never seen it.
Right at the end.
Listen,
right at the end.
Beckham's one of the worst I've ever seen. So.
I know that Ali McCoy starred in a film about Rangers, and he was featured heavily in it.
A film named after him. That's just totally irrelevant.
Yeah, that's the only one I can think about.
That's not even come in. It's like. Ali McCoy.
Right, don't know how old you lads are, but who do you think was the best player from your generation? I mean, Okay, random question. Lewis,
Wayne
why are
Rooney.
you crying?
Wayne Rooney.
He said he's
What?
40 and he would say Gascoigne. For me, being obviously a lover of Italian football, everyone knows my favourite player, Paolo Maldini. Love him.
I'm actually crying.
Zinedine Zidane.
It's a fucking animal course.
You asking me?
Yeah,
Is this Ali McCoy?
Look. To be honest, I was struggling to think of film football is in. I know he's in the Greek.
Ali McCoy's doing a cat. Sorry, but let's say.
I've lost my head. Oh, give me a minute.
Right,
Honestly, I swear my life right.
And
Right, let's be serious.
best player from your
Ryan
generation.
Zinedine
Ryan
Zidane.
Giggs.
Ryan Giggs.
Maldini for me. I'm going to answer for Lewis. Paul Dickoff. Right,
No,
there we go.
Starts to finish is Wayne Rooney.
Best player for my generation, Ronaldinho. I'll have a look through that one.
Is that Marcus?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
What, Marcus' generation? Marcus' generation would have probably been Jeff Hurst.
That was Marcus. Ronaldinho.
Given.
That was Marcus.
This is
Marcus. Go on your settings and allow StreamYard, and we can see your
My
name.
era was Carl Fletcher.
Oh,
Carl Fletcher was the one.
Harchester United are coming back. There's been a lot of talk today.
I tell you what, this petition's going to go off more like Andy's petition for fucking Super.
Right, you know what, you lot. I'm going to say something. You're going to laugh at me, okay?
again.
Now I'm confused. I have
Again,
it's been a few this episode.
Don't say.
You're going to really laugh. I have no idea what this Harchester United thing's all about. What is it?
Oh my god!
Dream
really?
Team Sky One. It was a TV drama.
Right,
It was a bit like EastEnders in football.
Can we leave the show now?
Yeah, I need to go.
Because
I
no,
can't-
like,
right now.
everyone's on about this. I'm thinking, what are they? League? What? Conference team? I don't know. I don't watch bloody these.
Go on,
bloody
Lewis.
whatever.
Tell
it
him
is.
what Harchester
Mate,
happened.
it was wicked, mate. It was before
Honestly, I'm out of
Footballers'
it.
Wives.
I'm out of it.
Right, sell it to me. Sell it to me. You got 30
I'm gone.
seconds. You got to
I'm
sell
gone.
the show to me. Go.
I'm leaving.
I'm
Honestly, I'm
leaving.
leaving. I'm leaving. I'm out.
Lewis
Lovely
is gone,
week.
mate. He's the best one.
You
He's
got
the best
13
one.
seconds left.
Andy had Alison King in it. That's all you need to
Yeah,
know.
it's got Alison King in it, mate.
No,
Carla from
He needs
Coro.
Linda Block, right?
Linda Block, mate.
Linda
he's
Block.
Where's
Don't
he gone?
Where's he gone?
I've not. He's gone. I don't know where he's gone. He's not in the participants or anything.
Oh dear. He's not paying his
Where he
electric
gone?
bill. His electric
No,
bill.
he literally sat down and he's done. He's gone.
He's gone to the
Where's
cat.
he gone?
Meow.
Don't. I've never laughed so much at that cat comment. Right, we're going to find out where Lewis is.
Ali McCoy.
I'm not carrying on without him.
It's found Ali McCoy.
Marcus wants to come on,
Ali
by the way.
McCoy says, "Hey, just Dave, put the loading picture on while we find out where he is."
Right.
He's going to put R1 on.
Marcus wants to come on. Hang on. Michael Brown, Ronaldinho. Oh, Ronaldo. Great shot.
Lewis needs to be here for his 11.
Oh, here he is.
He's back.
There you
Where'd you go?
Honestly, mate, I can't do it.
Guys, Marcus wants to come on. What do we reckon?
No,
No.
No,
don't
no. Sorry,
reschedule your
Marcus.
own
We've
show
done the whole
100
series.
times and expect to come on a pop from this show. Bye.
No, sorry, Marcus. Right, lads. Right, Lewis, seriously, just quickly before we go on to our 11s. Who has been your player of your generation?
For me, watching a player from start to finish has to be Wayne Rooney. From them famous words, remember the name Wayne Rooney, to him actually now potentially saving Derby from relegation as a player manager to them having a takeover, to him actually then going to be their manager. Start to finish, mate. You can't deny the player. He oozes class, he oozes quality. And for me, Wayne Rooney, from start to finish, I've experienced all of it. And that makes me feel really old.
We're not young anymore. You know what I mean? We are cracking on.
We are human and we are dancing.
I mean, look, Paul's getting his old man cough.
Right.
Right, anyway, guys, it is time for the Gaffers, polls. Andy's on silent for some reason. Why is Andy on silent?
You've muted
Just
it.
Dealing with the baby.
Sorry, and Mr. Late Night 11. So I'm not going to do these in any particular order. So let's go for this one. Motley Crue 11. Joe Harting, Mr. Motley Crue. I presume that is, Lewis Barnett's at the top. Lewis, talk us through
that formation.
I mean, you were protected down those wings, Lewis. Mo Salah and Hazard could be there.
Not being funny. I will teach them to track back as well.
Right, okay.
Not being funny with you, mate. But what
He's
a
a Leeds
team.
fan.
There's not a Leeds player in there, you dickhead.
Yeah, but that's the formation they play.
I mean, yeah, well, that would be. No, Leeds have one at the back and then put the other two.
Yeah, about to say.
Right, their keeper would be a bit more forward after Crawley game.
Yeah,
I also think
should be in the halfway line.
Right, I tell you what, right, we're all going to talk through our teams right now. And this is my 11 over the past 10 years. And people might go, oh, Joe Hart, because they remember him now. Yes, he Spurs is number 2 goalkeeper. Yes, he went to Burnley on loan. And Pep Guardiola, you ruined him. But
I've just seen some of these pro.
What?
What's up with Andy?
I've just seen what he's put under a player's name.
Tom Terry. Right, so listen. I've only put an abbreviation under a few people's names, okay? Right, we've got Joe Hart in goal. Right, for me, one of the best goalkeepers in the world about 6-7 years ago. Right, at the back, we've got John Terry. He'll shag you, right?
Before 9
Vincent,
o'clock.
oh, shut up, Kate. Vincent Company, Rio Ferdinand. In midfield, we've got the Wizard, David Silva. Someone that changed football forever, Kante. What was he signed for? What, 3 million quid? One of the best central midfielders in the world.
Kante was a lot less than that.
Kante was less than £500,000 for Leicester. Cost Chelsea 32 mil.
Mahrez was 400 mil. Kante cost a bit more, mate.
400 mil.
Do your research.
Right, I'm on Wikipedia.
Right, Yaya Toure has a statue outside Man City Stadium. That's how good their history is. And then Eden Hazard on the left. And Mohamed Salah, don't go to a wedding, pal. And then we have Sergio Aguero, goals. And up top with Sergio Aguero, we've got chat shit, get banged, Jamie Vardy.
Just going back to Kante. Kante joined for €8 million. It was an undisclosed fee, but that translates.
So when I said 6 million quid, I was right.
Well done, Lewis. Let's move on.
Well, actually, you was out by $600,000.
Oh my God! But the exchange rate was different.
$1 billion.
600. So, what are we thinking about that team out of 10?
You can't
I
deny.
mean, it's 10 out of 10 going forward.
Yeah, it's
I'm
just
not quite sure the other way though.
Where's the yeah.
I mean, if that turned up on your
players,
pitch, you would actually absolutely hate yourself.
I think the terminology is there's no balance to that squad, that team. Where's the balance?
Yeah.
Listen, mate, I'm not trying to be a football manager. You asked me to be the best team of the past decade. There you go.
He's playing long ball.
Fair, with Hazard.
Oh, Jack's not here, mate. Jack's not here. And I've got the up top.
With those 4 in particular, the other team ain't going to get the ball anyway, so we don't really need a defence, to be fair. Right, next team is going to be...
That's Dave's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
It's got to be, it's in red.
There was a player I literally had to flip a coin. Paul's got him in his team. I can't remember if Andy's got him in his team.
I can't remember.
He is a defender. So, checking goal for me. for me, best keeper in Premier League history, from the exception of probably Schmeichel. Trent at right back because, you know, he's revolutionised the right back position. Vincent Kompany, no one can argue with Kompany. Van Dijk because, you know, European Player of the Year, second in Ballon d'Or. Andy Robertson because he's the greatest left back in the world at the moment.
Are we
Can't
talking
argue
about the
with
last
that.
10 years or the last 3 years?
N'Golo Kante, awesome. Got to be holding though. David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne speaks for itself. And then up front, Salah, Mane, and Harry Kane for me.
Oh, that's like a that's like a Football Manager Liverpool side, isn't it?
There's 5 Liverpool players in there.
Yeah.
Hang on. Before we say this, we did 5-a-side the other day, and Paul had 100% Man U players in. At least I've not got 11 Liverpool
No,
players
I've Makaleli in there.
Listen, I've got no Leeds players in mine.
in there, yeah.
Don't forget about Makaleli.
I forgot about Makaleli, but it was weird because we all kind of looked at it and goes, "Oh, it's so biased," but it is the best.
Makaleli was the decade before. Makaleli was the decade
Right,
before.
so
Paul had 2 teams that were the best.
Hey, right.
Yeah. Aspilicueta was the one, by the way, Paul, that I had to flip a coin.
Awesome player. So, I'm
Amazing
starting
player.
with
That's a great team.
David. Can I start with David De Gea? Same reason as Joe Hart. Everyone forgets how good that guy has been and still potentially can be, which is the difference. Absolutely great goalkeeper. His stats basically say it for themselves. Even when United haven't been playing too well, he's had the best stats in the Premier League. So that's why he's there. 2 centre backs say it for themselves. They've already basically been brought up already. Kompany and Terry. Surprisingly, no one's gone for these 2 on the left and right. Lewis didn't have any other defenders, so but Kyle Walker has been the outstanding right back in the last 10 years for his club. And then
I agree.
I love Aspilicueta. I believe he is an absolutely phenomenal player, and I had to fit him at left back.
Aspilicueta for me, phenomenal.
Okay. Say
phenomenal. Aspilicueta for me. I actually had to flip a coin. I think not only is he phenomenal, but I think he's ridiculously underrated as well.
Yeah.
Forget how long he's been in the Premier League as well.
Yeah, and he's a utility man. As Paul said earlier, he can play left back, right back, centre back. You know, and a player can do that and perform. 7 out of 10 every game is actually priceless to a squad. Priceless.
He's club captain as well, so he can captain them.
I'll tell you one thing as well, actually, about Aspilicueta. I learned a weird fact about Aspilicueta today. One of the seasons, I can't remember which one it was, when Chelsea won the league, Aspilicueta had actually made the most tackles in the Premier League season. That's not just for Chelsea, that is for every single team.
Phenomenal.
So, yeah.
Just moving to midfield, I've got a balanced midfield of Fernandinho being defensive midfielder. Again, for me, he's been the outstanding defensive midfielder of the Premier League last 10 years. We talk about Man City, change, obviously the team which changed Premier League this decade. He's been at the forefront of it, alongside David Silva. And I'm surprised, again, Steven Gerrard's not been brought up because he had a good 5 years for Liverpool in this decade. So, great player. We know how good Steven Gerrard is. We've had debates.
Can I ask why not Kante?
Because I've got Fernandinho. It was a choice between Kante or Fernandinho. And for me, Fernandinho's done it more consistently.
Yeah, but we're talking about players that changed the Premier League, and Kante definitely did.
I think Fernandinho...
Well, no, it's not about that. This is literally the best 11 that we could
Hang on, this is what your show's called, Dave. What do you mean it's not about that?
Well, it's not about David Beckham, but this is a separate part of the show, and it's my show. I think Fernandinho is... I think Paul's got a great part. I think he's just as good, if not more consistent than Kante. The only reason I didn't put him in is because I didn't think about it.
He's been just as important to that Manchester City side than anybody else, apart from the player which is further up the pitch, basically, in my opinion, Fernandinho.
100%.
And then top 3, Rooney speaks for himself. We've already spoken about him. He is phenomenal, whatever position he played in. He's played in multiple positions, and again, 7 years in the decade for me has to go in. Don't know why no one else has put him in.
What a player!
Yeah, and then Vardy and Aguero. Again, Vardy's already spoken to enough tonight. He's, again, defying odds year after year.
Even
Absolutely
Jamie.
brilliant. Yeah. And then Aguero, to me, unfortunately, just comes in just above as being the best striker this league has seen in the last, probably, an out-and-out striker in the last 10 years. There's nobody else comes close to him.
Over Bobby Firmino.
Mate, Aguero. If Aguero, if Aguero was playing for Liverpool, you would have won more than one title this decade.
It's weird, right? I'll explain this. I said this earlier. I went the way Paul did, the best 11. And for my opinion, I said this before the show, we've not seen Andy's yet. We'll come to that. But in my opinion, Paul has the best 11 there. But if we're going on Lewis's point, I was very tempted to actually whack in Bobby Firmino because he has changed the style.
My point is shit.
No, he's a different striker. He's a different kind of player, like a different kind of striker. I'm not taking it. I'm just saying he is different. He's different. I'm not saying he's one of the best 11 because he's not. But my point is he has kind of changed it a bit. But yeah, great team, Paul. I think for me, that would be the one I'd vote for. Lewis,
you went for
yours is great, but it would get ripped apart.
It would.
Right, let's go to Andy and Babby. Andy, can you do this, or do you want me to talk for it?
No, I'm all right. I can see it. I'll be all right.
Yeah, all right. Here we go. This is Andy's, guys.
So, Petr Cech in goal, consistent through the decade. He's still currently playing at the minute, but for Chelsea's under 23s. I know that obviously he went to Arsenal. Arsenal not the greatest esteem, but Mr. Consistent, he really is. And then it's not the only time we've seen these two central defenders, John Terry, Vincent Kompany, two of the best of their generations. This is where I question. Ashley Cole, best left back England have ever produced. Yes, he only had 4 years in the
100%.
Premier League.
Am I right in thinking that the only player that's been in every single team is Kompany? Sorry.
I think so.
David
Silva.
David Silva.
I know, we've all picked Jamie Vardy too, I bet.
Yeah, Jamie Vardy. You not picked Jamie Vardy?
No.
Andy's not picked
David
Vardy.
Silva. Yeah, I think David Silva. Yeah, I think he's in every team as well.
Obviously, I've got Zabaleta. Kante, right. So this is why I asked about Kante with Paul, because it wasn't Kante at Leicester that I've picked. It's Kante at Chelsea. So Kante, right? This is no disrespect. I'm a Leicester fan saying this. Kante was good. Was because of how Leicester's status within the Premier League. Kante was by the press made out to look a lot better than he was. But then he went to Chelsea, and he proved it again. Back-to-back Premier League winner. Within 2 years of being in the Premier League. So that's why I've picked him. David Silva, that goes without question. Eden Hazard, absolutely brilliant. He's flexible as well, can play up front, can play on the right-hand side as well. But I put him on his favoured left. And we've got Mahrez, and then it's Aguero and Vardy up front. Oh, okay.
We've all got Aguero too.
No, Dave didn't pick Aguero. Dave did put Aguero in. Dave did put two best strikers in Premier League last 10 years. He just ignored them.
Vardy and Aguero are the best. Can you imagine them two up front together?
I know, mental.
Oh,
It'd be
insane.
mental.
You could play long ball with those two, couldn't you?
So, guys, just a quick question before we go off air. Now, I'm going to ask, who is the best player in the last 10 years? Now, let's be honest, there's only two players that we've all picked. Kompany, David Silva. So, from my opinion, it's only right we pick out of those two.
No.
Okay, Lou, who's your best player of the last decade?
Jamie Vardy.
Okay. Paul?
I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Aguero for me.
For me, David Silva for me. Andy, who's been your best player? Aguero.
Aguero.
So that's 2 that's gone for Aguero, yeah?
Absolutely brilliant player.
So it's only fair that we go with David Silva because I'm
Can't
the
argue
Arsenal. No, I'm joking. Aguero, we'll give it to Aguero. Who voting? I think that is all for tonight, gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching this series. All 3 episodes will be up tomorrow, one after the other. Please watch if you've missed the previous 2, where we did 90s, 2000, 2000, 2010, 9, whatever. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us. Thank you so much to Andy. Andy's busy right now. And thank you so much to Mr. Late Night, Lewis. Before we go, I won't play the ad because I'm looking at the time, but Paul, you've got a show on with Andy on Thursday. Do you want to have a quick go through it? Lewis, stay quiet.
Yeah, we've got the vote's still out, I think, at the moment, but I think it's clearly going to be what's the winning vote, Andy?
Transfer flops.
Transfer flops. So because there's been quite a few, I think we're going to do the top 5 each, and there's 4 of us on the show, so it should be quite interesting to obviously have a watch. But again, it's something you voted for, and then we're going to cover a few sort of other subjects as well.
Just a quick reminder, guys. I may have removed it from announcements. I removed something earlier and I don't want to know what it is, so I've just gone to check on the announcements.
So it's all right.
That's my fault. That's my apologies.
No, it's all right. The votes run out anyway now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I apologise for that. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. From the Gaffer, this is the Gaffer's Night. Good. What? Oh, late night show. Of course. Sorry, mate. Right, you know what? We're going to do something different. You always introduce theirs. Andy, talk to us about the late night show.
Wow. I mean, it's Mr.
No
Lewis.
pressure. He's watching this right now with
Mr. Lewis, as always. I mean, I'm hoping Leo's going to be there to just save that show because it's not. It's not going in the right direction. No, stay tuned for Saturday. It's always a brilliant show with Lewis, with his late night talk on a Saturday. We know what he's all about, and hopefully you getting Batty on this Saturday.
So last week, Leo William Bremner Barnard, he was here, and he did take over the show. And of course he did. He's the evolution of his father. So of course he's better, right? And last week we spoke about our all-time Premier League, football 11, although he didn't understand the concept, he just thought it was this season. So moving forward, Saturday night, this week, Louis B and Leo B will be sharing our all-time Leeds United 11.
Ooh.
And this is interesting because his actual theory and his thoughts of Leeds United probably only span 5 years, whereas mine are a lot longer. So yes, we're going to do that. But on top of that, I'm going to ask him to do me an all-time, because he said, because he plays FIFA, I didn't know legends could be involved. It's going to be really interesting to find out what legends he would put into a six-a-side team. So yes, we will talk about the weekend's football. Yes, we will have some banter. But we're going to get our all-time Leeds United 11s and our six-a-side of icons in world football.
It's going to be a great show. Thank you. What's that, sorry?
We're playing now. We're going to go top. We're going to be above Liverpool by Tom tonight.
I mean, that's great, but that's going to change next week anyway, so I won't really care.
Paul's kicking off as the
annual back, baby. Get out that contract. Let him write whatever figures he wants. Ollie's at the wheel. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you next week for the brand new series of the Gaffas Gaff. I'll reveal all later on. So thank you, you three. God bless. Good night.